Hi, Anioki. It's nice to see you. Let me preface this video. It might be a little bit long because we're going to be comparing two of my favorite e-bikes, and I'm not just saying that for this video. Literally, Anioki is the Rolls Royce of e-bikes, period. All right, listen. I know what you're going to say is you've seen my other Anioki review, right? I can't wait to put these side by side because that disc is something fierce. Anioki by far is my favorite bike company, and I'm not just saying that. Like, I bought that one. They were like, listen, we liked your review. Here's another one. Shut up. You ready? The knife's not, but I am. Let's get it. Look at those brakes. My God. I'm going to show you an easy way to put these brakes on. They have brake reservoirs. Look at the juice. So they actually change it. Look at the key fob. It's actually a key fob now. Got it down nice and easy. Nice and easy. A little bit faster. You know, it's not that heavy. A little bit faster. A little bit faster. A little bit faster. Now that we got these big old jalopies on, it's easy to put it on without the actual brakes. I'm going to show you how we can do this. It's really simple. So once we have those set in, it's just a matter of screwing them in. So the front fender we're not going to put on. We're also not going to put on this rack just because I'm going to compare it side by side to the other Anioki A9. That being said, we're just going to put these aside. It comes with the motorcycle mirrors. Cute little gems. Rainbow lock. A safety vest. Well, that's nice. It's got their name on it. It's a zipper too. That's actually pretty nice. My God, how much more branding you guys need? So as with all Anioki chargers, absolutely robust, and that output is 8 amp hours, and that battery is 70 amp hours. Headlight. Depending on the pedal assist level, you'll be able to adjust the front and the rear or turn them both on, but when you get to 4 and 5, it does not allow you to adjust that. So on the right side of the screen, we have this up and a down. You can actually use that to adjust the pedal assist levels. You do have your record option, which by default is on as soon as you turn that bike on. So let's go into the record settings. Now, you have to keep in mind that depending on where this camera is placed, you may have a wire or two showing up. And honestly, I just think it's a cool feature that you're able to actually record it. How useful this is going to be, look, when you put it on by default, it's going to be recording, but just be very wary about where your cables are when you do it. And then once you go into the video section, you're able to see each one of the videos. And again, in order to pull these off, you have to get the SD card out and then put that into a computer or maybe your phone to rip that off. All right. Oh, it's a big boy. Jesus. Okay, I'm 6'1". You see my toes? Look at my toes and tippy toe.
Hello, Anioki.
Hi, Anioki. It's nice to see you. Now, I've already went over this, but before we get jumped off, I know what you're saying is, why do you have this weird strap on your body? Well, that's because that's how I'm going to record. Yeah, you're just going to have to deal with all that. And I wanted to get all of this right off the jump. I'm not going to take this plastic off. Let's go. Ho, ho, ho. So you already saw my first Anioki, the 2024 model, and now we're doing the 2025. So out of the box, I'll let this charge for about 4 hours, and we're only sitting at about 3 bars. So I'm probably gonna have to let this charge overnight. Now, pedal assist 1, it being a cadence sensor, you can just kind of pedal and not put any effort in, but it still doesn't allow you to push a little bit harder than that top speed at 7 or 8. Now, if we go to 10, this is where you feel them kick in. And again, we're just using the rear motor at this point. Once we get to 4 and 5, it's going to automatically kick on. Pretty smooth. I do like these little reservoirs. These brake reservoirs, I'm absolutely loving them. 15 miles per hour. I'm doing that thing while I'm just pedaling now. So you're probably watching this and you're like, bro, where's your fenders? Why don't you have them on? The same reason I took them off is the same reason why they're not on here. The front fender, they have not changed. It essentially is too short, so it's not gonna catch a lot of that dirt. And the rear one has that weird cutout for the chain. I don't like that. So we're just going with what we got. And you'll see that we are in pedal assist 3, 21 miles per hour. So now let's go to pedal assist 4, and then you'll see that automatic torque. I mean, just immediate go, like immediate. Cruise control automatically on. Let's bring that down, bed that in. Let's take this off-road. Now, we do not have any fenders on this. And that front suspension is at its stock configuration, meaning it's a little bit tight in the front. You can kind of hear that bouncing around. Well, that moved. Yep, and that came right off. Caught that bitch. That sucked. All right. It's gonna be hard for me to do a review on this and not compare it to its predecessor. I'm gonna have to. So on the original one, you got a single disc in the front. Big old disc too. This is the same size, but this has 6 pistons versus the original one only had 4. So your stopping power is like immediate. Now the suspension on this is the same as the original one. You could kind of hear all that bouncing. Now the battery on this is a 60 volt, 70 amp hour. You are able to upgrade this to an 80 amp hour off the website. The original one was 52 volts at 60 amp hours. So you have a lot more power going here, and you're gonna need that to get that power, right? We're talking about 5,600 watt peak power. That is absolutely bonkers. So let's talk about the pickup of this versus the original. First off, let's get the max speed. Let's see what we're getting for the max speed. All right, here we go. Max speed. Pedal assist 5. Let's go. Now you saw there, we're not able to go over 41 miles per hour. Now I'm gonna tell you, comparing this to the original one, the pickup is much faster on this. So one thing I wanna talk about before we kind of pack this in and I give my final thoughts is the braking on this. Now on the original one, you didn't have enough of bite. People argued in the comments and said, oh, well, you don't need that kind of bite, you know, with that big of discs. I have to disagree. I want to see more power or more bite force when I'm actually braking. And this rear brake doesn't, right? Like it's not locking up. But what you have here is you have a combined braking system. And what that means is that when you press on the front, it should in fact do the rear. When you press on the rear, it should in fact do the front. Now, this is an old technology. Other motorcycle manufacturers used to do this before ABS comes out, and there's still companies that do a CBS or combined braking system. But it's interesting because I don't know if the camera's gonna pick this up. It's gonna be hard for me to show you this, but when I'm pressing this down, it's not just pressing just the front, it's actually doing the back. So how much it is, it's gonna be more in the front because more of the weight of the bike is going towards the front, but it's not like something you could dial in and say, give me 70% in the rear and, you know, and 30% in the front. It's just where it wants to give it from. So whether or not you're using the left or the right to stop, I mean, it's still front, it's still left, but it's not locking up on me. And I think that's because of the combined braking system. Let's be clear right off the jump. 2025, 2024 airplane. Obnoxious, but we're just gonna go with it because if I have to deal with it, so do you. Now, and he's flying super slow, right? Super slow. Let's just wait it out. So rude. It's so rude, bro. Like you see me down here, right? Okay. 2025, 2024. You're probably saying to yourself, why would I buy this when I could buy this? Hold on. There is a lot of differences. So now when you're looking at the 2024 model, what's up with those tires, bro? Did a video on it. Right there, it should be up here. I did a video on it because I wanted street tires because I'm gonna ride this on the street. Oh, buddy, wobbly. It was a mess. I eventually got it, but you could see the height differences between the two. You're probably saying, why is the 2025 model that much bigger? These are 26 by 4s. These are 26 by, I don't even know, right? 26 by 4.8s. They're massive, but you could fit 26 by 4s. What you'll also notice is the spokes are different, right? That really doesn't matter. They're both stock rims. The most important part is, I'm glad I don't have to flip this around, is take a look at these brakes, right? They're both exactly the same. Now, this has a front and a rear brake. This has combined braking system. So there's that little tiny red hub, and what that does is that distributes, it's kind of like anti-lock braking system, but instead of it pulsing the brakes, it's giving both rear and front braking power with that brake. And a bird. If I press the rear brake, it'll give a... Anybody got a pellet gun? Now the combined braking system is only on the 2025. It's not on the 2024 model. Basically the 24 model just has regular brakes. So does this. However, when I press the rear brake, it's gonna give me some front. When I press the front brake, it's gonna give me some rear. 6 piston. Holy macaroni. What? What? I have an Artie. That's Arby's I ate inside of my Audi. I have an Audi RS Q8. I don't even think that's got 6. Okay, ridiculous. They answered. They did. They said, you want more braking power? I'm gonna give you regular ass brake pads. Yep, you did that. And good stopping power to boot. I just don't like the combined braking system. I'm not saying it doesn't stop, it just doesn't. It doesn't grip, bite, and lock up. And some people will like that. I am one of those people that ride motorcycles with no anti-lock braking. I hate it. I shut it off on everything. That being said, this would be for you. So it just brakes. I mean, we're talking about 300 millimeter dual disc in the front, which means you need an extra set of pads, right? This is not just 1, 2 pads. You need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's an odd number, right? Now you gotta get 3 different sets of 2. Don't buy 4. Because that's not enough. You're gonna have an extra set of pads. It's just weird, right? 2, 4, 6, you get it? Well, you probably, but I digress. Lots of pads. Not so much. 4, 6. And they're non-labeled, so I have no idea. On the 24 models, they're Mafias. On this, they're Aniokis. And what I love is the reservoirs. They remind me so much of a motorcycle. They're clear, you can see through it, you know what's up, you know how bubbly it is. And keep in mind, that being said, do pump these a bunch and you'll see some bubbles showing up. That means that you have to bleed those again. Let's talk about the suspension. The suspension on the 24, you could get both in hydraulic and air. I got mine in air. The 25 version, you can only get in air. Okay, being a previous air suspension owner, I'm not a fan. Let me explain why. Air suspension tends to leak. I would prefer hydraulic in that regards. Some people like air suspension. I will say this has not leaked. This has not leaked. That's not saying that yours won't leak, it's just that I have not had that experience. You'll notice on the headlight on the 24 is much smaller than that on the 25. The indicators on the 24 and the indicators on the 25 are exactly the same. The rear suspension on both of these bikes are identical. Let's talk about the battery. The battery is different because on this guy, it's a bunch of like 18650s or 21700s. This one is a semi-solid state battery. And let's not just stop there. Basically what that means is, honestly, I don't know what it means. It just means it's not 18650s, right? It's like a lipo lithium ion. It's a gel pack of juice is what it is, okay? And then you charge that up. It's a battery, it's just different. But what is really different, 52 volts, 60 amp hours, it might be 70, 52 volts, 60 volts, 70 or 80. Big difference, right? We're getting more voltage, more amp hours out of the newer battery, and they both come with 8 amp hour chargers, so that's exactly the same. Some little things I want to mention too is the alarm system. When I did a review on this guy, people were like, yo, what am I gonna do if I lose my key fob? I don't know, pedal it? Like, that's what you're gonna do. What am I gonna do if I lose? Don't lose your key fob, man. What are you gonna do if you lose the key to your Audi or your Volkswagen or your Ford, whatever you drive? Looks like I'm out of luck. Well, you got two of them, right? You got a black one and you got a white one. Put them somewhere. Put a white one in a black room, put a black one in a white room, and then boom, you'll never lose them. If you do, uh-oh, I get it. It sucks, I agree, it does. But no offense, the last 10 cars you probably, well, if you're anything like me, you buy cars every year. The last 3 cars you bought all have key fobs. Have you lost those? Nope, then don't worry about it. It does suck though, it does. You should be able to fire this up without that, I do agree. At least give me the option to disable that. Fenders, what? What happened? I talked about it in the video. I said, hey, make it a little bit longer. You were like, you get the same one. Front fender on this, that is too short. Okay. All right, well, with that being said, you're gonna get dirt that's gonna fly up. So whether you use that fender or you don't, I mean, you get some aluminum foil and attach that in a way to stop that from flying up, but the fenders are too short. The rear fender is the same. It still has the same cutout for the chain. And that I want to talk about. Now, sprocket, 7, 7, 7, 7. Good. Bet. The chain rings on both of these are identical. The gear sets in the back are identical, both Shimano Torney. The chain rings on the front and the rear sets or the gear sets are identical. What I would have liked to have seen is put that kind of double wall there. It's not that big of a deal because I'm not going to pedal it anyway, but for someone that is going to pedal it, it would just be nice to see a ring on the other side of that sprocket. On a 2024 model, you'll notice this big ass wire that just kind of rides underneath the center of that frame. Not on this. They said, we're gonna build some more metal casing and just hide the wires in there, and they did it well. Because you see it, obviously, where it's going in, but it's not riding along, so you don't have to worry about that being severed or anything. It's kind of hidden inside of the frame. The seats on the 24 and the 25 are exactly the same. Now, you'll notice that when I sat on a 25, I was higher up. It has nothing to do with the seat. What it has to do with is the tires. I mean, these are massive tires. I would like to see street tires on these, but they're absolutely massive. And I will say this, these are not designed for short people, man. In the original 2024 model with the display, I was able to fine tune every one of those pedal assists. While you can do that in this, you only have a 3 or 5 option. You can't make that 9 or 7. So it's more basic and fundamentally easier to work through than it is on the 24. All right, I had to pull out my phone, hear me out. 24 model, 1800 watt, peaks at 24. Okay, cool. Seems legit, 600 extra watts to give you that oomph. 2200 watts, but peaks at 55. Wait, hold on. Are you saying combined? Is that really important? Yes, I think it is, because if you're saying that you could get 5,000 watts out of a 2200 watt, you need to get with Tesla. That's a lot of power. It doesn't matter. 55, 56, she over here trying to correct me, throwing a 6. What is 100 watts? Right, we're already doubling it, so let's just throw another 15 watts. Let's talk about this. Jay, what's the range, man? Why don't you ride it until the wheels fall off? First off, I put 3,000 miles on this. I did a video, popped up right there, loved it. Loved this bike, still kept it, right? I sold everything else except for this guy. I'm not gonna test 200 miles on this. You know why? Because it is hot. Let's be serious for a moment. Every person's gonna be different. If a company tells you that they get 200 watts, do I believe them? Yes, I honestly, I do. I know it sounds gullible. They're talking about pedal assist 1 and you weighing what they weigh. And you've seen Chinese people, they're not built like Americans, right? You know I get on this. I'm not gonna do 200 watts, 200 miles, right? Let's be serious. 87? And that's with throttle. I've seen, let's be clear, I've seen 115 on this. That's mixed. That's a little bit of pedaling, a little bit of throttle. All throttle, just cut it in half, man. Cut it in half and then take 10 away. That's the best way. So will you got pedals on it. Stop being lazy. But I'm gonna tell you that pedaling 170 pounds, get on your wife's back and have her run 10 feet. That's what she's gonna be beat. That's exactly what you're gonna feel like pedaling this. So if your battery dies, you better call a tow truck. One of the things I don't like to talk about in a lot of these reviews is the price points. Why? Because they fluctuate so much. This 2025 model with the 60 volt, 70 amp hour battery is gonna set you back about $37.99. The 52 volt version at 60 amp hours is going to set you back about $32.99, and then you have the big boy, which is the 60 volt at 80 amp hour. That's going to set you back about $4,100. Keep in mind, by the time you watch this, that price has probably been reduced. It is worth mentioning that looking at these side by side, it might be a little bit difficult to tell, but if you see one online, you're like, oh my God, a 2025 for $2,600, check out the spokes, right? Okay, they're a little bit loose. We know it's a 2024. Look at the brakes. Is there dual on the front or is it single? Is it 4-piston or is it 6, right? Basically, you just count how many on one side, then just double it. So dual, you just have one on one side. And then that's really the way to tell. You can also look at the display, but from side view, they're going to be difficult to tell the difference. So just keep that in mind if you find either of these online. Let's talk about the dash cam. The resolution isn't great, but at least you can store what you did. And when you turn on the bike, that turns on. Just don't point it too high. Otherwise, when you're riding, you're just going to catch all the telephone poles. And make sure that the wires are out of the way because, well, you see here, you just want to kind of line that up properly. So if I had to pick between the two of these, the only thing that I like on the 2024 model that I don't see on a 2025 model is the display. It's a little bit more technically looking, like it's not as basic, like here's 2 rings, this is what you're doing. And I like that you could customize that front and rear wheel. 9th gear, I just want to use the front, just want to use the rear. On the 2025 model, you only have the option of once you get to 4 and 5, you're using both of those. That I don't really like, but I guess it's just, that tells you it's better for the battery if they have it set that way. Just give me more control of that. Let me turn that on or off for each one of those gears, regardless of the speed. Also, I found that this guy was a little bit faster. Probably because of the extra 20 pounds or I got fatter. One of the two. Either way, 40 plus on an e-bike is crazy. These are, I don't care what anybody says, man. I'm not getting paid for this. Anioki is the best in the e-bike market, period. Like, I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. And then Wired, but Anioki, Wired. I know, you read the title. You said, bro, Sarons are better than this, man. I could go 55, I don't even know, E-Ride Pro, whatever the next electric dirt bike is, right? Those are all illegal on the road, so are these. But if a cop pulls you over with this, you have pedals. You can kind of sweet talk your way out of that. On a Saron or any of those electric dirt bikes, you can't, man. They even make pedal kits for it. Wait till a cop pulls you over and asks you to pedal it. You're gonna look like a fucking idiot. Please don't put them in the same bracket. These are e-bikes. Those are electric dirt bikes. This is the best e-bike you could buy. You probably made it through all this video and said, yeah, I can't even find a 2024. You're right. 35 to 38, but I guess they just said, you know what? We got some extra ones. Let's upgrade that. Let me just say this, before someone's like, yo, that is dumb, you are lazy, horseshit. You know why? Because Ducati and the X Diavel has done that since 2014 to 2024. It's the same friggin' bike, and my dumbass bought a new one every 2 years thinking that some shit would be upgraded. You didn't even change the tires, bro. So at least they upgraded some things here, display, the wire. All in all, it's good for what it is. I kept the original. That tells you this bike is solid. Just be tall enough and make sure your pockets are deep enough. Stay beautiful. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. You know what? I don't need to insult your intelligence. You know what you're doing on YouTube, you do it. Check out the website, though, where all the bikes that I've done reviews on, you can compare them. Also, if you pick this up and you get one, use my referral link, you know, and put some money in my pocket. It doesn't help this channel. Stop saying that. Sunny side up. Stay beautiful.